welcome back to another edition of Rhythm in Rome. I'm your host, Paul, and I'm with my two co-hosts, Benef and Trish. How's it going out there? So, as you guys already know, the little disclaimer, this is the podcast where we start to discuss our travel adventures and exploring cultural differences and every single thing that's in between. So today, episode is a quite interesting one. We're talking about different countries and different beauty standards. I know that's a weird mouthful, but I think this is going to be something that a lot of folks that are listening is going to be able to, relate to probably and stuff like that. So let's just kick it off. Like, what are we
first,
talking
why don't you tell us how you even came up with this topic? Because I don't know if you're traveling to different countries and noticing the beauty standards or being treated differently as a man.
I was
beauty standards.
So this is why, and I'm glad you threw it back to me, because I didn't want to make it seem like I was trying to make it, it's only women and it's not men or whatever. The topic actually did not come to me specifically. Like, I didn't think of it at first, but a good friend of mine who I went to grad school with, Lenita, who is also American, I had the pleasure of interviewing her too as well. And she popped this into my head because she said that this was something that interests her and was also concerning of the fact that the beauty standard, when I say beauty standard, we're talking about when it comes to sometimes weight. Standards are not the same in specifically Europe than it is in America, for example. And I can attest to that, living here in Europe, and just right out my door is the elevator. And, you guys know from traveling to Europe how tiny those, elevators that are put into these very, very old apartments.
They expect like multiple people to. I'm like, this elevator is for one person.
Exactly.
Maybe two, but damn sure ain't the.
And that's not including your suitcase. That's not including your suitcase.
Seriously,
I mean, I'm not like a large framed person, but I just don't want people that close to me. I don't know. That's like a personal space issue.
It's all of that in a bag of chips. Everything you just said. And people tend to not have a problem with it. And when Lenita, we had a great conversation when she mentioned this, and it drew my attention and my interest, because I'm like, yeah, that is freaking true. And it's not just elevators, just the easier part of it. It's the same thing if you're going to a restaurant, for example. Like all the tables are so close and small chairs, and they expect you to squeeze into a certain spot. And I'm always like, God dang, I'm skinny and I can barely fit in here, kind of thing. So that was a concern of her and stuff like this too as well. And we talked extensively about this and some of the things that, she had to deal with.
As you know, I told you before, I worked in the high-end fashion, luxury fashion industry.
Which I'm jealous.
Well, I already knew, because of my weight, my size, and all of that. And even beyond that, even when I was smaller, just my body shape in general, because I am very bottom heavy. And it doesn't matter what my weight or size is. I've always been curvy. The access to certain things, they just weren't there. And so, whether it was the cut, it's straight up and down or whatever, there just wasn't the availability of some of those things to me. So I already had in my mind, whether it's, Louis Vuitton or Gucci or, Chanel, whatever, I probably would not be able to wear it.
What country? So just for a little bit of clarification, what country specifically are you talking about? Are you just talking about in Europe
I'm talking
in general,
about working in the U.S., knowing that all of these brands were from France, from Europe in general. It already had put in my mind that, okay, when I go there, I'm not going to be able to wear anything And going there, when I went there, I had 2 bags. I stayed there for a week.
Yeah.
And
What countries?
I went to Belgium, France, and oh my gosh, it's failing me.
Bratislava.
Slovakia. Yes.
Bratislava. Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, so I kind of, I packed because I knew, I was like, I'm not going to be able to buy clothes. I don't know what the weather is going to be like.
Right,
So let me make sure I bring some layered stuff. And, I just had a variety of things because I knew, I felt that I wasn't going to be able to find anything, especially in Paris, that was going to fit my body. Like, I knew that I wanted handbags and stuff like that. But like I said, just the clothes, even when I went into the Louis Vuitton store, I went straight to the handbags and the handbags. I didn't even go to the shoes because, again, even with the
That's
shoes,
interesting.
they are very narrow. And I have wide feet. So I was like, that's not going to work for me. So I'll stick with the handbags and wallets and maybe some luggage. Yeah.
Was there any moment you felt uncomfortable, period, just because, other than the high-end stores?
Of course, traveling to Belgium, and I can't always pronounce the name.
Bratislava,
yeah. Traveling to both of those places, I was like, I'm probably going to be the only Black person there. And so there's already this mindset, like the shift in your mindset that you have to prepare for, because
if people who are in a situation where they've never left America, for example, and they want to visit Europe, is there anything, I don't want to call it do's or don'ts, but is there anything that you want to get out there that you want people to know? And they feel like they're in the same situation that you felt, where you think weight might have been an issue and you didn't want to buy anything because you don't want people to look at you a certain way at high-end stores or wherever you wanted to go, kind of thing. What would you say or suggest or recommend to folks out there who's thinking that same way in that term?
So, I have this saying, do it afraid. So even if you're,
that's a nice, I like that. I like
even
that.
if you're scared or whatever, like, just do it anyway. I'm a person that runs to fear. I don't run away from it. And so again, my advice is to do it. Just do it afraid. Just
Amen. So what do you guys think?
Well, I mean, I definitely can identify, certainly, having traveling to Europe, I've certainly had those same types of qualms and, worrying about, where I would fit, and having gone several times, I've lost, quite a bit of weight recently. And, just personal choice of myself wanting to be smaller myself, but having been in a similar situation, and this particular incident happened in England. Was it in England now? No, it was in France. It was actually in France. Yes, absolutely. I was, and I'm trying to remember what part, where we were, and I can't remember at this moment. We were
Paris.
Mm-hmm.
Eating at a restaurant. But I don't remember what part where we were, but we had just finished eating or just touring somewhere, and we went to eat lunch. And I remember going into a restaurant, and then I think I had, excused myself from the table and now going into the restroom. And when I opened up the restroom, I could not believe, I thought I had made a mistake. I thought maybe I had gone in, it was a closet.
Like a
It's
broom
not a closet.
Because initially, first of all, I couldn't find the light switch because, so that's why I thought it was a closet because already I could see that it was small. But when I opened it up, I just happened to fumble through and I looked, and no, it was the toilet was literally like right. I mean, as soon as I stepped, it was right there, like right at the door. The sink was one of those designs where it was kind of turned to the side, so you could, they're trying to maximize space, obviously, but it was right where the toilet was. So the distance was probably just, just right. It was, for those who are listening, it was right close. I mean, it was right there. So there was really no difference, maybe 3 inches, maybe. I don't know anything about distance, but let's just say with me being, the big girl that I am, it was close. And now remember, I have to get in. Okay, I'm gonna have to sit down on this toilet, and I'm gonna have to close the door. So, and then I'm expected to pull my pants down now, and I'm supposed to do my business.
Worse than like an airline lavatory.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
probably the same in that side.
Yeah.
So,
So there's like 2 different things that we're discussing, I think, is just the issue of personal space that is different in Europe and in Asia than it is in America, where everything is bigger and we just have a lot of space to just lollygag around.
Why are things a lot bigger? Is another question on that.
We actually just have more space.
We do have more space.
There's more space in other countries too as well. You know what I mean?
Well, okay,
like
Russia, China,
Canada.
Yeah, things are bigger in Canada. Yeah, absolutely.
I agree. But also, I mean, honestly, there's no reason to make these spaces that small though, right? I mean, so why not come up with these new architectural ways and start combating that now?
Because
I guess, so here's my question. It's like, people go to France and they're going to see these like ancient French things, right?
Yes.
I don't know that they're necessarily building things or refurbishing things to attract tourists. It's not like Dubai, where they 100% are building things to attract Westerners to go. So
they have
know that
there's
people
only
are
going to
gonna
be so
come.
much oil. There's only going to be so
things
much
are
oil.
big, and people will go there for that. I mean, but like in Asia, the people are just smaller. So like, are they making clothes for tourists, or are they making clothes for Japanese people or Koreans who are bigger than the Japanese?
Yes,
but I can't, like in Japan, it was really hard to find stuff that fit because my arms and legs were longer and I just have broader shoulders. But in Korea, the Koreans are bigger. And so I was able to find clothes that fit, but I still struck out on shoes.
Well,
I couldn't wear the shoes.
You answered your question though, Benef. They, specifically Japan, and probably other countries too as well, don't look at it for tourism. France doesn't look at it. Yeah, France doesn't look at it as tourism. Other European countries, I would say Germany, because they want the tourism and stuff like that, they would probably cater, to, probably bigger people and, in Scandinavia, in Stockholm, people are very tall. In Netherlands, everyone is.
So you're saying that these places are to visit. So you come and visit. You do, either you fit. You're uncomfortable for a bit, and you go home.
So I'll give you another example. In the Netherlands, for example, Amsterdam, the Dutch are extremely tall people. For some reason, their apartments are not tall enough for them. Like I've been to people's apartment who. This dude is like,
and the stairs are like so narrow. Yeah.
And the guy is like 6'5", and he's hunched over to try to get into, and it's, the buildings are old there too as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
so it's an old building.
Yeah. And there's a lot of them there. And
have they always been that tall, or is it like because of like this?
I think Dutch people have always, maybe not way back when. It's like Viking time, maybe they weren't during that time.
But that's so. I mean, so he's not even
modern, but they have a lot of modern
in his own home.
No, in Amsterdam, there's not much modern. It's just like
not in Amsterdam proper.
No, I'm only specifically was talking more about Amsterdam because it's one of their highest travel destination places, and the buildings are old. And I don't, to answer also Benef's question, I don't know when Dutch became tall, but they're freaking tall. And I can tell you the homes are so old that it doesn't work well.
Well, I mean, the other thing too is like if I'm traveling to, India, Japan, Germany, like I'm not trying to fit in with their beauty standards because I'm American. I could give 2 fucks about what they think is pretty over there.
Can you define a little bit on the beauty standard part? Because I think it's a little generic. Like when you say beauty standard, what are you specifically talking about?
So
Because I
it's
think
basically like what that society, what that culture perceives as beautiful for men and
Gotcha.
for
Okay,
women.
yeah.
And it is different depending on what country you're in, obviously. I
Right.
mean,
so that
there is so
includes
like,
weight, that includes
yeah,
what they think
yeah. So
beauty
Koreans
is
have like a
skin-wise.
very high, like the Korean beauty standard for a woman and for a man is basically what you see with the K-pop stars. Like if you don't fit that standard, then you're not going to make it as a K-pop. And it's hard to
So
like
looking like a doll baby, kale. Sorry.
and I remember actually one of my roommates at West Point is Korean, and she said I forget what we had been talking about, but like it was a flight attendant for Korean Air or one of the Korean airlines, and she was like, "Oh, well, if she's the flight attendant, you know she's beautiful because like you can't be a flight attendant unless you're beautiful in Korea." Whereas
Yeah. And the
that's
definition of beauty is, again,
is their
what?
standard, whatever it is. And so,
Yeah.
you know, we don't have that in America because that would be discrimination.
We did.
Right.
We did. We
Well, we
did.
did. We absolutely do. She
Yeah.
sent me some of those where it was like you couldn't be above
Exactly.
a
The
certain
flight
age.
attendant. Yes.
Yeah, you had to be
And-
single, all the
yes.
things.
And I think I'm gonna go off the cuff and again say we are kind of in our American cultural thinking, saying,
Absolutely.
please don't yell at me on this one, but because we're big people, people need to cater to us. I feel like that's what we're saying when we're going
Well,
anywhere
yeah,
overseas.
I mean, I think we
And
think that anyway. We go
Okay.
with that mentality a lot initially.
yeah,
I think
Yeah.
initially.
You have a good
we
point.
lead.
You absolutely do. Because we're like,
yeah.
why is everything so goddamn small?
We lead with
I
that.
do it all the
We lead
time
with
and I
that.
live here. I
We
do it
lead
all
with
the time
that.
and I do it all the time and I live here. Every day I bitch about
Yeah.
the elevator.
Or and
Every
we're just
day.
we don't want to be that close to people. Like that's
Yeah.
uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's like
it's
give me
just
some elbow room, man.
Yeah.
Shoot. Yeah.
But why do they need to change their standard
Yeah.
because of us? Because that's
Because
what
we're
we're
used to
basically
more
talking
fucking
about.
room. That's just it. We're just used to more fucking room.
Okay, Mrs. Arrogant
Lie.
American.
Well, it is. No, it is. It's true. I'm not.
I
mean,
mean,
I'm
I
not
guess
gonna
they
lie.
Oh, I bet you it's difficult for them how to handle, like, for example, Trecia, your hair or another person of color hair. It
Yeah.
wouldn't be.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I know.
I would look for people that had training abroad, like in
Yeah.
London or
Yeah.
like been somewhere else, not just in
It was
Japan or
definitely
in Korea.
tough for a lot of, and this was something Lenita had also mentioned too as well, which I wanted to
Sure.
get to, was hair. You know, that
Yes.
was, and I saw that struggle with, Black women, for example, in Korea. Hell, I struggled, but not as much as they did because at the time I did have hair and I had a fade and all this other stuff. But the good thing with me is that there was a lot of Americans knew how to do a Black
How to cut
person's
hair,
fade.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
However, but for that woman that need, whatever
Yeah.
products you guys put in
Yeah.
your hair and stuff like this
Yeah.
of color, it was a
Yeah.
struggle.
Oh my God.
And if
I remember it's like just trying to get a decent blowout. I went to it and it was an Aveda salon in a mall. So I thought this would be perfect. But like the minute she brought out the blow dryer and started just like doing all this, and I was like, like I
Afro.
knew it was gonna be like
Afro.
It was like
Poopy mess.
like a horse. I mean, I needed like a bottle of serum to like. I was like, my eyes were like, no.
Yeah.
She
Why?
didn't know how to try it.
Yeah. Why when we travel, you'll see, and that's that's kind of the other thing, when you see a African American or Black woman travel, you will see a protective hairstyle because
You're right. You're right.
the weather, first of all,
Well, it's easy
unpredictable
to
weather.
handle. Easy to handle.
But it's more easier to
Yeah.
handle. We'll have a protective hairstyle. You'll see braids,
Yeah.
you'll see locks, you'll see something, you'll see cornrows, you'll see that
Yeah.
because we don't have to worry about, our hair. So that's kind of the thing.
Spot on, Trecia, on that.
Absolutely.
And another thing that is of note that interests me too as well, because I didn't even think about this, is going to European high-end design stuff. That was something also I didn't even think about this, maybe because I'm a man, but, those high-end stores, she felt that there was, Lenita, that is, that there
Yes.
was no reason for her to go there because they weren't going to have her size, for example.
They are catering to the model
And
size.
why?
Yeah.
And
Why?
we know that,
And
we
we
know that
don't know
from
why.
here.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, we know that
why?
from America.
But
Yeah,
we
we
don't know
that from
why.
America.
We don't know why they
Well,
do
we do
that.
know why. We do know why. We do know why, because
it's annoying
yeah.
because of the fact that it's
They don't
it's unfair.
They don't
It's
see
unfair.
us. They don't see us in their clothes. They don't see us as a vision in their
Because
clothes,
they classify it
unless
as
they have,
voluptuous.
unless yes, they do not. Their clothes do not fit voluptuous women, and traditionally, Black women have hips. They have abs.
Curves.
They have titties. They have curves. So therefore, we do not fit into their genre of.
But let me just be controversial for a second. A lot of people
Uh-huh.
who didn't have ass and hips and all that are buying them now. Kim Kardashian. So you would think that they will start to be making more curvier.
No, they don't change for no one. I don't know. I feel
Well,
like those
I
are
think
so
they are.
entrenched.
They are.
That mentality is so entrenched.
I think
And half
Louis
the
Vuitton.
time, I mean,
Louis
if-
Vuitton.
if
Louis
we're
Vuitton
talking
has
about
changed.
haute couture, then it's like half that shit they're wearing is like looks ridiculous and is
You would
insane.
think, but here's the other point of that, though. It also has to do with pedigree, right? It has to do with those who can afford it. So if they were to change the mentality or to change the mind, then they would have to be inclusive of all. And inclusive means letting all in. So there still has to be some type of exclusivity to that, right? There has to still be some type of mystique to it. So instead of them having to change, you have to change to be able to fit into it.
But I think that they are adjusting, meaning, because I just mentioned earlier Louis Vuitton, for example, or as the French say,
Vuitton. Oui.
Vuitton.
Yeah.
So they changing because what's his name? Pharrell Williams is the artistic director or whatever it is. So he has the mindset that they need to make stuff now that are for women with curvy figure, not necessarily Black women, but just women with curvy figures. And they have been bringing out a lot more of those, and they have been making baggier or bigger clothing, but that's the style now. So the question is, when that style is over, does it go back to?
Well, I mean, Trecia, you said something. I mean, what you said was very interesting about like you have to change, and I think that is the problem with the beauty culture in general, is that there's always something that we're trying to attain and reach, but it means we have to change who we are. And I feel like it's at least there's more emphasis, we see more diversity, we see different types of women, and we see that it's okay to be who you are. There's a lot of like advocacy for that, but there's still that part in there where
I feel like they have, but I feel like they have catered a little bit in the change department. Not enough, but I think that, and we're just talking high-end stuff right now.
They have not even begun to scratch the surface, honestly. And it's kind of interesting because I scratch a little. I'm gonna say scratch again, but we kind of touched on this actually in my classes, in my marketing class. We actually studied a little bit about the Dove campaign that they did.
Oh yeah, I remember about
that. The women campaign. Huge. And still to this day, I mean, that's one of their mission and their statement. But if you go back, it's a very good case study. If you haven't looked, I have all the links to that if you need. And if we we can post it if we want to part of this so we can see this because I actually think it's quite poignant to look at that. The big thing is as women in general, or people in general, the way we look at ourselves. The fact is we're not comfortable with who we are in general, just how we even describe ourselves. Like if that was so powerful to me, that commercial that they did of us describing ourselves to someone else. And then
Because
coming
it's what
around,
society tells us what is comfortable and what
well,
is
just
not.
no, but just in general, how we
Yeah.
describe ourselves to others, and then have that person come back and describe us. Two different things.
Yeah.
We focus on all
Yeah.
the negative, and the
Yeah,
other
of
person
course.
focused on all the positive.
Yeah, because they
So-
don't want to put you down. That's
Well,
why.
and are
Right.
we taught to focus on the negative? Are we taught to be
Mm.
humble to the point that we're detrimental
Right.
to our self-image, our
Both.
self-confidence?
Both.
or
Both.
are you know, and
Both.
you know, and are we are we taught to, you know, toot our own horn when no one else does, and you know, all those wonderful things that we're supposed to do. So how are we supposed to be able to advocate for ourselves, you know, in front of a designer
I think,
or
but that's what
you
I'm
know what I mean?
saying.
Like,
I think
yeah,
I think we are making small adjustments,
I mean,
but
like
the adjustment,
micro,
no, because,
like,
well, no. The reason why I say that is because remember, back in the 90s, early 2000s, or even later, we didn't have plus size models. We didn't have spokespeople to wear stuff for the woman that look like other than a skinny toothpick, you know,
Yeah.
kind of thing. So I'm just trying to be fair to say there have been. It's
I
just
agree.
that
I agree.
it's just that they're not catering to the speed that we want, because, and I know, sorry, my French peeps, the French people could be just feeling very direct and cold and honest, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just
No.
that in the direct honesty, it's more of, it's your fault. You figure out how to, you know, get to the where you need to be to do this, or leave and go somewhere else. That's the mentality, how it is. I'm not saying that they say that. I'm just saying that is what it seems the mentality is. And everybody seems to be okay and fine with that. So I think this brings it back to Lenita's point, you know, on the fact that, you know, Europe is not going to change how they do business and stuff like this, because in their mind, it worked and it's been working, and
Yeah.
people are still buying our shit. So take it or leave it.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So
And it's
we just
unfortunate.
come back to we're still gonna visit Paris.
Yeah, exactly. That's my point. You're not going to boycott Paris
Right.
because they have a small elevator. You're not going to boycott, you know.
You're still gonna live in that building.
I'm gonna comment on it though, damn it.
Yeah, I'm going to bitch
But
about it all day long.
And I'm still gonna visit you in my damn
Look.
suitcase, Paul.
Yeah, like, look, I'm
You said
skinny
the
as hell.
suitcase by itself.
You know what's
Say-
funny about
I was just gonna say that, Benef. I'm gonna send my suitcase up first, damn it.
Benef? You came to visit me and you had a suitcase with you.
Yeah.
You saw those suitcase and me and you could not fit in
I mean,
that
if
damn
I had
elevator.
had like an actual, not a carry-on size, it would have been challenging.
That's my point. And I had people that came to visit me that had big old suitcases, and we had to make several trips. And I live on the top floor. We had to make several trips up and down. And it was just annoying as hell. And that's why I warned people, do not bring a big ass suitcase.
Yeah.
Because
It's
a
you're
good
gonna
thing you have
you're
a
gonna
good hallway.
trot up the metro and steps.
Oh,
for
it's
that.
horrible. Yeah, carrying
It's-
it on the metro, forget
Yes,
it.
it is the worst feeling ever when I see people with these big old suitcases, and I'm
No.
like, you poor American.
Well, so like Japan has this like shipping company, you know, they'll ship your suitcase from your house to the airport because they don't want to deal with it.
Yeah,
Traveling on
I
the
mean, I'm
bus
sure
and
that
all-
they have stuff
Right.
like that here
Yeah.
and so on, but it's just the fact that we have to do that, and then they're making plane seats smaller.
Now that is true. So the Asian airlines, there's less clearance from this one seat to the next because their legs are
Mhm.
shorter. And so for people with longer
Yeah.
legs, I'm like, why are my knees touching that? Like that never happens.
Yep.
And I'm
Yep.
like right there. And I'm like, this is really uncomfortable.
And
They just have
that's-
shorter
that's-
femurs.
and that's
Which one
why
is
it
it?
goes.
Which one
yeah.
is it? So I know not to. Why not? I know not to ride that one.
Well, there was Asiana. I think it was Asiana.
Asiana, I've taken Asiana.
Yeah,
That's
I'm not
how I
riding
got
that
to
one.
Korea.
Yeah,
That's how I
but
got to
like
Korea.
Japan Airlines, Korean Airlines.
I'm
and
going
there's-
United, man.
Yeah, there's one
Yeah,
more.
but United
They're
is not-
definitely
mm.
it's unless you're
They're
in
getting
like the business
smaller.
class. Yeah.
Yeah.
It-
Well,
Everyone
according
is
to
changing
Paul,
it
I've
'cause
got to
it's more
take business
money.
class.
Yeah, it's all
yeah,
about money.
for that far. Yeah.
Okay, so since we were talking about hair products and
Yeah.
skin products and things like that, I do want
The beauty.
to actually mention, I know, right? I actually do want to mention a product that I have been using. I want to bring that to your attention. Joy has a wonderful clinic there in Huntington, and she has also started her skincare line, and she was so gracious to send me
wow.
some products to use, and I have started using them. I have actually now, this is my 3rd week using her product, and
Okay.
I absolutely love it. Love it, love it, love it,
Wow.
love it.
Your skin looks
As you
smooth
can
as hell.
see, yeah, I just wanted to give a little plug for the Joy Moy skincare
Wow.
products.
Good
Joy
job,
Moy.
Joy. Congratulations.
Yes. So I have what's here is the essential biobotanical, which is the
Okay.
face elixir. And what's really neat about this is that this is actually the 1 ounce, the 1 fluid ounce that I put on. And with the
Oh,
products,
nice.
all you have to do, you just have to put I'm talking like the smallest amount. You just wet your hand a little bit and you squirt a little bit of this. And then I also use in conjunction with the serum. And these
Oh.
are so well,
The
I'm just
serums
talking
are
about
always
very, very
really
nice.
good.
Yeah.
So good. So I use this in a conjunction. I do this at night. Both of
Okay.
these at night.
Mm.
And
So
then I
just
do it
one
in the
time
morning.
a day. Oh, you do both.
Just
Okay,
one time. I do it
Yeah.
at night, both
In the
morning and
morning.
night. And it is just such a wonderful product. So I just wanted to put it out
And it
there.
looks
I
like it's
also
small
wanted,
enough to travel with. So put her link in the
Yeah.
Will do.
in the channel so that
I will,
myself
so
and
that everybody
everybody
can hear.
else can look and see.
Absolutely.
We need to start a
Congratulations, Joy. This is awesome.
Definitely. You bet.
Okay.
And we'll start a QVC show next.
We need to. Our merch is next.
Right? Okay. Yeah. So this was interesting. Great topic.
Mhm.
Was
I thought we had some really good discussions and stuff like that. So to all of our listeners and folks who are watching us on YouTube and stuff, by all means, we would love to hear your experiences and comments, on
Please.
your different excursions around the world, wherever you've been, and what experiences you've noticed and stuff like that. Drop a comment or so on. But as always, be sure, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and like us and follow us. And if you have any other interesting topics, please do go ahead and, bring it to our way. And until then, we'll catch you the next time. Ciao.
Ciao.